It is August 6, 2020. We're here on the rooftop of 3364 Boundary Street in San Diego, California, 92104. We're here on the rooftop of the house. We have original 4-inch cast iron vent pipe. This will lead down into the beginning of the sewer main for the single bathroom for this house. There's some cobwebs in here. We'll see if these kind of block our view once we make the transition here or not. Yeah, there's a little bit on there. We're going to pause for a second, clean off that lens. Okay, so we wiped off our camera lens. We're going to go back down this. We always want to check vents on older homes that are cast iron to make sure they're still intact, because they can flake, crack, and have issues with them. We didn't notice anything on the way down, but we were partially obstructed with all the cobwebs. So here's where the toilet dumps into the line right there. So this is officially the beginning of the sewer right there. Immediately makes the transition to the horizontal line right here. So this is all the original 4-inch cast iron pipe that's under the house. A little bit of buildup of deposits and scale on the bottom, and that's going to be typical with all cast iron, especially of this age, but it's not super bad right here. That unit does appear to be occupied, so unless we find a bunch of paper and feces clogged or jammed up on some of the little mounds you see on the bottom or side walls we may come across, it's usually not too much of an issue. If it gets to be really bad or heavy, then typically a chain knocker or a hydrojetter can sometimes gently try to scrape that off. But with old pipe, you do have to be somewhat cautious if the wall of the pipe is somewhat thin or weakened by the sheer age of the system. This may be our junction right here where the kitchen and laundry dump into the system with that little bit of debris right there. That's probably our T-junction for the kitchen coming into the system. And we should be going across the house here from the right to the left side as you're facing it. And then we do have a property line clean out in the driveway. And so yes, right in fact here we have a T-junction, but it's really being just mostly used as a turn on the line to make a left-hand turn here to go towards the driveway of the property where the sewer line eventually kind of goes to that angle. So we're going to push the camera here quickly. There we go, we made that turn. So still all original 4-inch cast iron. Still in good condition, completely functional. Not found any really breaks or cracks or heavy flaking of the line, and no roots yet. Again, a little bit on the bottom of flattening, what we call, and that's just again from all the years of accumulated scale of deposits and buildup that form in the line, and they harden up. A little bit of paper right there. So again, just a little bit on the bottom. Our camera has what's called tilt sense. It's a new feature from the Ridgid Sea Snake cameras. It actually shows the degree or pitch that the pipe is falling in, and it's got pretty good fall. So even though it's got some of this buildup, that's why we're not seeing too much, because in a lot of areas we're seeing a little bit greater slope than the -2 degrees, which is required, which is 1/4 inch per foot. We've got a little T-junction right here. Possible this was a weird old clean out, or it's possible just from the age of the home that a neighboring property could be coming across and they could be junctioning into the line. So literally from the backyard over, or from the neighbor's property here. But we got a little bit of toilet paper, or possibly even a feminine hygiene product right here pushed in the system, hard to say. Okay, here we're going into clay concrete pipe. So we got a short run of that. looks like we've got a very tiny, small possible root intrusion on the right-hand side of the pipe there. So you can see at this next little coupling of the clay concrete pipe, tiny little pieces of root debris right there. And then immediately after that, though, is our property line clean out. So we're transitioning to what's called Greenbell PVC pipe. This is what the city contractors put in. The fittings are white, and the pipe is green. And then here's the T-junction. So you're seeing this T fitting right here. This is the clean out. There is a lid, and again, in the driveway, and that's this access point. So this is the official property line clean out. It only allows you to clean from this junction farther out to the street. The cities and their contractors put this in because even though it's your responsibility to maintain the line, if it ever becomes clogged past that point and a plumber can't clear it, the city will clear it from that clean out. Or if the line ever breaks or collapses somehow beyond that property line clean out, then they will attempt to clean it and then actually do a repair if need be. But again, this is all new pipe here, so that shouldn't ever really happen with the newer plastic that's been put in. Here's a turn transition right here. I have to swing this pretty hard. This is a full 90-degree turn, possibly, not a 45. There we go. Made that turn. And there we go. We're in the city line right here. So you can see all that water that's running by the system. I'm going to pull back the camera here. There is the big city pipe right there. So that's all the neighboring houses on the street upstream from here that are all draining through the system. So we back up here, coming back up this vertical pipe here, almost a straight 90 down. Again, coming back across here. We're going to go ahead and pull back to the very small root intrusion that's on the line. Wouldn't require repair at this time, but we're going to pull back so that we can go ahead and denote where it's at on the property, both the path and depth. And then we'll also pull back to the other T-junction and make a note of that in case, again, it is a neighboring property that's dumping in, or if it's somehow could have been an old buried property line clean out. Even though it's laid on its side, which is a little rare, it still could have been. So here's that little bit of debris we pushed out. This is the clay concrete pipe, and here's that little root intrusion right there on the upper right-hand side of the screen. So it's basically at 3 o'clock on the pipe, and we're going to push up to this coupling. That's where it's growing through. So with clay and concrete pipe, it doesn't have a very good seal method of interconnecting between the pieces of pipe, so it's pretty susceptible to get them in. But this one, again, is very minor, does not need any cleaning. Typically, we would clean this out either with a chain knocker system or a hydro jetter. Doesn't need anything right now. It can just be maintained. There's a foaming chemical treatment you can buy from Home Depot or Lowe's called Robic Foaming Root Killer. That can be poured down through a toilet, or preferably a clean out's a little bit closer. But one bottle, which is a 1-pound bottle, available for about $20 at the stores, treats 25 feet of pipe. Now from the roof vent here, as you can see, we're out about 67 feet. So you would need 3 bottles to treat it from the rooftop. Typically we wouldn't recommend the 3 bottles going through the toilet because it foams up really rapidly and it may come out of the bowl and not go down the system. You still would need to actually put some literally plastic wrap or saran wrap over the toilet bowl. We've had it actually bubble and foam up out of the bowl itself, even when putting it down through the vent, but it's a little bit more hazardous doing it inside the home through the toilet with that many bottles. But we'll see if there's another clean out access. But anyway, we're going to push up to this coupling right here where the roots are. We're going to pause and we're going to go ahead and locate to see where this is at. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located this, and the pipe is 4 feet deep. We've marked it with some chalk, a circle and an X, and the letter R below it, denoting the path of the pipe and the spot right here where these roots are. So we'll pull our camera out eventually and bring that to ground level to show that. It's on the driveway of actually the neighbor's property, because the way the houses are set up here is a little unusual, and both driveways are literally right on top of each other, and the sewer pipe clean out that the city put in for this house is right in the middle of the two. So we've got some water running through the system right here because we do have a home inspection going on at the same time here. So we're going to go ahead and pull back on the line right here though. And again, right here is where the cast iron actually officially ends, coming up here as we pull back through this clay concrete. So here's where we have that T-junction. Here's the cast iron right here. You can see the difference in color and texture of the pipe. So right here's where it ends, and then right after that, literally, this is that T-junction in the system. So again, this T-junction is kind of laying on its side almost in a weird way. Water's actually kind of running off to the side of it, even from this house. So I don't believe this is where the property that would be the next street over behind this would be coming from. But we're going to go ahead and denote this because right here, again, is where the cast iron is ending, just so everybody knows, and then we do have this T-junction. So if something ever did have to be dug up, you would have to know that there's a T-junction here in case it is picking up something from another house. There could be a line running through an easement, which is quite possible, and it's dumping in right here. So we're going to go ahead and leave our camera right here. We're going to go ahead and pause and locate this. Okay, so we've marked this T-junction. It's 43 inches deep, so it's just a few inches shallower as we back up on the line. We've got it marked with some chalk on the driveway, and we will show that. So we're going to back up the line right here. So again, all piping is still original here, but it's still completely functional and does not require anything at this time. Again, the only issue is there's no clean outs for the house, so this is just a turn on the line, not a clean out access, that T-junction there. So if it does have to ever be snaked or cleared, a plumber is going to have to come up on the roof or pull the toilet if the main sewer clogged. And since there are no ground clean outs, then also again the foaming chemical treatment that you may want to do for that single very small root intrusion will have to be done either from the toilet or here from the rooftop preferably. We're going to back up the line. So right here we believe is our junction for our kitchen and laundry to dump in. So we're going to move forward again just a little bit more. In fact, we'll go all the way back forward real quickly here to this T-junction, this turn. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is the laundry does have an access point kind of behind the machine because a little bit was replaced and then it goes right back to cast iron. So normally the kitchen line is going to be very, very full of buildup, being how old it is. But we'll go ahead and put a very small camera through the laundry, which eventually ties into the kitchen line, just to make sure, since that one does eventually go under the dirt through most of the house to get to the main, just to see if it is in working condition, at least right now. Now, liquid water is draining out of it, so we know it's functioning, but we'll give it a try to get a camera through the pipe. So we're going to pause and move down to ground level. Okay, so right now we're using a very small camera. It's only 5/8 of an inch. It's a nano camera from Ridgid. So we're going to go in through this 2-inch clean out that was installed here with some new plastic pipes right by the laundry connection. Turns right back into the original cast iron here. Go. So this is nice and open here, and we expect that kind of to be because it's just the laundry, so just detergent and soap and some lint, but we still want to check it. Eventually it's going to again tie into the kitchen line here after several feet. We don't expect that we're going to push beyond too much past of that because it might be so constricting we don't want to cause a stoppage actually. So there is some buildup right there. It might be the T-junction, but it's nice and open here. Oh, no, here we go. Here's our T-junction for the kitchen dumps into the line right here. So you can see we've got a little bit of standing water, and it's just, you can see how now the pipe's kind of ovalized, so it was nice and circular when we first started in the laundry, and now just like the main sewer, but a little heavier because the kitchen gets a lot of food, fat, and grease over time. It's really constricted and kind of ovalized, flattened out on the bottom, but still passing through the line. So it is still open, and we knew that water was draining through it no problem, so that wasn't an issue. Now this is in the crawl space. It's just under the dirt though, so it's not visible. So we don't know if there's any outside cracks on the line or any what we call little stalagmites or buildup of deposits from areas that started this leak and then kind of sealed themselves off, because in the crawl space was visible coming down from under the floorboards. Part of the kitchen line has an area like that, so it is kind of at the end of its life. It's not actively leaking now, but it kind of started to and then sealed it up. There's a big pustule hanging off the pipe. The lavatory drain line in the crawl space is the same way, and I'm sure the home inspector is going to note all that when he went underneath there. We can't get the cameras through there, but again, we can see from the outside that the lavatory line is in pretty bad shape, but not actively leaking right now. But it's going to need it pretty soon, and the first few times you may have to have that snaked or cabled out. That aggressive action might actually break the line, both with that kitchen little area coming vertically and then the horizontal, the lab and the crawl space. Now there you can see we just entered into the main sewer, so actually the kitchen line was quite open. We got all the way out. That's the orange-red push rod of the other camera that we left in from the rooftop, so we got all the way out. So the line is completely open for the kitchen and laundry here, and in completely operational. So that concludes the recording for this property.